My nephew Chaz and I are delivering a Jaguar V12 E Type to Le Mans in France. Going across on the ferry, taking my Merc 500 SEC with us, which we'll come home in. Everything was going fine until about 80 miles into France. The gears in the E Type became harder and harder to select. So we pulled over into a lay-by and let it cool off for a bit, which is when this happened. He wasn't wrong, it really wouldn't go into gear, at least not with the engine running anyway. Obviously he could get it into first gear with the engine off, but if he then started the car with the clutch to the floor, the car would start leaping forward. I reckoned that I might be able to get it going that way if we could get back to the motorway quickly, by the shortest route possible, get it into top gear and just cruise and get it as close to Le Mans as we possibly could, in the hope that the guy at the classic car specialist there that we were delivering it to would be able to come out and give us a hand to get it back to his place. So that's what we decided to do. Was working. We managed to get back to the motorway and we were cruising along fine until we hit rush hour traffic at Cannes, at which point everything ground to a halt. So I looked in the glove box on the E-Type and found a number for RAC European breakdown, which is good. The lady said that in France, when you break down near the motorway, which we are, on a slip road just off the motorway, you have to ring the number for the French police recovery people. Chaz had mentioned the night before that he'd been studying French on Duolingo, so I suggested that he was the perfect person to ring the French authorities. What did you say to them?
I don't really know.
What did they say to you?
He saw us on a camera.
They've got us on a camera?
Yeah. He said, "You're my colleague."
Look, avec le High-viz. Avec le vis de high. Not going to do your high-vis up then, Chaz?
Well, no, because you can be a child's one.
Guys, just explaining to the pickup delivery recovery driver that this car needs to go to Le Mans and that we will be staying in Cannes. So I managed to get the E-Type on the recovery truck on the starter with it in first gear, because the recovery driver couldn't find anything to attach his towing hook to and I was a bit worried about him damaging it. And now we're following him to somewhere in Cannes where I have to ring the RAC again. So we've made 80 miles from Cherbourg. That's the end of our road trip. Well, it's not the end of it, we've got to get home yet, but...
You've still got your vest on.
I've still got my high-vis vest on. The garage that the recovery driver took the E-Type to said they could fix it, but that they couldn't do it for 2 weeks, which clearly wasn't going to work, because Julian needed the car in Le Mans, so I told the RAC that this car needed to go pronto. And as it was now 7:30 at night, Chaz and I went off to find a hotel. Quite a long evening, but, you know, here we are.
Right.
What do you think, Chaz?
Well, we've had a hard day, but we soldier on.
Yeah.
You know, it's been tough, and there's been many ups and downs, but this is definitely enough. We've got the cheese, we've got the Vin de Ver Rouge. What's it again? Yeah, cheers.
Bonne chance. It's the morning after the night before, and it's raining. This little town is right by Sword Beach, where British forces landed on June the 6th, 1944, to start the liberation of France. And having made plenty of cheap jokes about how we still had our reliable German Mercedes, it wouldn't start this morning. I thought it was damp at first, but it became clear as the day went on that there's a problem with the petrol system.
That was touch and go, wasn't it?
It really was touch and go. After all the jokes about Mercs being so reliable, it only just started.
Just reminding us.
Ran on about 3.5 cylinders. And my Gert Bringer is still sticking out there, which is really annoying.
Oh, I thought it was Gert Slinger.
No, it's Gert Bringer. Gert Slinger is the American version and the Wild West version. The Gert Bringer is the thing that gives you your seatbelts. Seatbelt butler in English, but apparently the German word for it is Gert Bringer. So you don't learn this kind of stuff on other YouTube channels. Shall we attempt to go somewhere?
Yeah. We've got
England would be good, I suppose, ultimately. You're going to look at the beach?
Yeah.
We know where that is, don't we? It's just there.
yours. Oh, I'm glad the car's working.
Yeah, it's always good when the car works, isn't it? I'm going left or right?
I reckon left.
Centreville?
No, I think that takes us back to where we were. Oh, La Plage. Beach.
Oh, the plage.
That's that way.
Oh, Bolo, as they say in French. Because it was still cold, I was still running the Merc on petrol, but at this point it started misfiring, so I decided to switch it to gas earlier than I normally would. Oh, bollocks. Something going to gas.
You won't change?
No, I'm going to try it now. I'm just going to this car to go past. Yeah, it likes gas. That's good.
How old's the petrol?
A week. Yeah, it doesn't bode well for starting the car when we're on the ferry in England, when I'll have to try and start it on petrol.
It doesn't matter, as long as we can get it on it. They don't like it if you can't drive onto the ferry.
They don't like it up them. They don't like it if you can't drive onto the ferry. Well, I don't like it if I can't drive onto the ferry.
No, but it's much easier, isn't it, if you can just sort of blag it on there.
Oh, right. Yeah, you say it's okay if you get it on, you've still got to get it off though, haven't you? I guess they'll tow it off if it's in their way. The Merc was still running okay on LPG, but my worry was that having sat on a ferry for the 6-hour return crossing, the engine would be cold and I wouldn't be able to start it on gas, because I always start it on petrol from cold. It doesn't like starting on gas. This is Juno Beach, which was invaded by the 1st Canadian Army on D-Day in 1944. It sits in the middle between the two beaches that the British invaded. That's Sword and Gold. Can you imagine coming across in a landing craft? Loads of people would have been sick. They'd have been puke swilling around on the floor. And then you've got to jump into the water with people shooting at you. It must have been absolutely terrifying. Compared with that, our problems really were extremely minor, but nonetheless, I wanted to get a full tank of LPG before we left France. It's much easier to get it over here, because the car no longer wanted to run on petrol at all. I say about Range Rovers and Porsches and private number plates, I mean. Back in not so sunny Portsmouth. I spent most of the ferry crossing worrying myself sick about whether I'd be able to get the car going again on LPG, but it was fine in the end, and about an hour later we found ourselves back near Newbury, where I dropped Chaz off at his trusty ancient Land Rover. And I got home myself a couple of hours later, just as the LPG red light came on. Look at that. Is it to the moon?
I think it's 220,000 miles.
Is that all?
Those blokes are stuck there at the moment. I'm not on the moon, in space. The NASA guys.
Yeah, that's because they went on a 737, isn't it?
Yeah. And
And the
said,
door fell
"Sorry,
off."
You're going to be there until March.
The door fell off, all the nitrogen fell out. Something like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And now they're stuck there on the moon. Well, near the moon.
Horrendous, isn't it?
God, can you imagine? I'm claustrophobic. Imagine how claustrophobic that must feel.
But kind of agoraphobic at the same time.
Yeah.
Because looking out the window, you've just got the most.
The vastness of everything.
Yeah. I can't think about space too much because it
Does your head in, doesn't it?
you can't quite get a grasp of that.
Well, you can't get, if it's infinitely large, the universe, it's impossible to conceptualise that, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you just can't.
And then there's the galaxies within the universe.
And then there's the wormholes through time that go to other universes, and it's all a bit. Whoa! Just need a cup of tea and sit down.
Yeah. Parallel universe.
So there you go. You don't learn this kind of stuff on other YouTube channels.
Really insightful space chat.
It's better than what's that bloke who used to be in D-Ream called? Brian Cox. Not the one who's in Succession. The one who was in D-Ream. The professor bloke.
I done a gig with D-Ream.
You did a gig with D-Ream?
Him somewhere.
Talking of gigs, Chaz, by the way, is a professional guitar player. Tell me about the gig you did with Lulu and the act that came on after you, that you took video of because you said nobody would believe it.
Well, we did a gig in a billionaire's basement who had mocked his basement up as the Cavern Club, and he booked Lulu as the surprise act.
Right.
And after us, there were 7. It's not 7, is it? I made that up. That's what I'm about to say. There were some small people dressed as Elvis Presley.
So, some very small people dressed as Elvis Presley,
Yeah,
singing Elvis songs?
singing Elvis songs. Yeah, I will show you the video
You must.
because it sounds pretty far-fetched, and I can see. Well, sometimes when I tell people this story, you can see them rolling their eyes, and then you show them the video, and they go, "Oh wow, that did actually happen."
It wasn't just some drug-induced dream.
All in a day's work.
It's better than digging ditches, isn't it?
Yeah.